Welcome back, students. In the last video I promised you that I will tell you the connections, or the nerve supply of the submandibular and sublingual gland in great details. What are the various fibers and how they are coming and supplying to this gland, through the submandibular ganglion or otherwise. So this is a short note on the submandibular ganglion. This is the submandibular ganglion, which is a parasympathetic ganglion, and learning from my previous diagram where I have shown you a small diagram in relation to the relation of the, where I was teaching you the relation of the submandibular gland. This diagram was very short, so it become congested. So I got a lesson to draw the diagrams in full page. So now this diagram of connection is in the full page, and I hope that I will be able to trace the fibers to their destination, from their origin to the destination. Let us come to this submandibular ganglion. You can see here this area, which I will just draw it as a yellow color so as to differentiate here. This is a ganglion, and this is a oval ganglion hanging with the help of the lingual nerve onto the hyoglossus muscle. You can see with this diagram we had seen that this was the lingual nerve and it was crossing superficially to this hyoglossus muscle, and on this is the submandibular ganglion is hanging onto the surface of just above the deep part of the submandibular gland. I think this much orientation is sufficient for this short note. Let us understand this. Now the submandibular ganglion is a peripheral ganglion of parasympathetic nervous system. So just remember that this ganglion, and what is ganglion? A ganglion is nothing but the collection of the neurons outside the central nervous system. So in this submandibular ganglion there will be many hundreds of the neurons located, and these neurons are the postganglionic neurons of parasympathetic nervous system. Postganglion, I will just tell you where are the preganglionic neurons. Just remember that the ganglion is collection of hundreds and thousands of the neurons, parasympathetic neuron in the submandibular ganglion. Ganglion. Now it contains the postganglionic parasympathetic neurons, which receives the preganglionic fiber through the lingual nerve. So the preganglionic fibers, they are coming through the lingual nerve. This is the lingual nerve. This is which is going and supplying to the tongue here. This part is tongue, and to this it is supplying. So this is the lingual nerve. Now the lingual nerve is joined by the nerve which is taking origin from the facial nerve. See here. This is the, let me tell you the whole diagram first, explain you. This is the midbrain, this is the pons, this is the medulla, and this is the spinal cord. Now in the pons there is a presence of the superior salivatory nucleus, and in this nucleus there are thousands of the neurons located, and they are the preganglionic parasympathetic neuron. So what are here? What are those neurons? They belong again to the parasympathetic system, and they are the preganglionic parasympathetic neuron whose axon travel right up to the submandibular ganglion. So thousands of the axon, they come here to the submandibular ganglion, where, as I said, another set of the neurons are located, which is called as the postganglionic neurons, and they will rely on the postganglionic neuron, and the axons of that postganglionic neuron, they will be innervating to the submandibular gland as well as to the sublingual gland, and they are secretomotor in nature. That means stimulation of parasympathetic fibers, or the order coming from superior salivatory nucleus, will be leading ultimately to the secretion of the saliva from submandibular and sublingual salivary gland. Submandibular. Though this ganglion is very small, it is a pinhead size. If you will see in dissection hall, it's not, but I have drawn it large. So I have drawn all the nerves very thick because so many fibers are coming. Thousands of fibers they come. And I have represented only one fibers which of the type which it contain. Okay. Now this ganglion, as I said in that diagram I have shown, is located on hypoglossal, okay, muscle, okay, in the submandibular region. This region is submandibular region, and this ganglion remains suspended by the lingual nerve, through the two twigs. These are two small branches. This ganglion is suspended here. Okay, once we have seen this, let us see something more here also before we go to the connections of this ganglion. This is a cervical sympathetic chain in the neck region, just below the skull. Okay, this is superior cervical ganglion, middle cervical and inferior cervical ganglion. And in this spinal cord, this is the level of the thoracic, one level of the spinal cord, and the preganglionic sympathetic neurons are located in the lateral horn of the gray matter of the spinal cord, and these are preganglionic neuron. As I said, preganglionic neuron of parasympathetic, they are located in superior salivary nucleus, which is located in pons, while in case of sympathetic it is at the level of thoracic one spinal segment. And then when these fibers they come out, they go, okay, the preganglionic sympathetic fibers, they go and ascend in the sympathetic chain, and they will ascend up to the base of the skull, where the superior cervical ganglion of sympathetic chain is located on the side of the spinal cord, cervical part of the spinal cord in the vertebral canal. Here this fibers, the preganglionic sympathetic fibers, will relay in superior cervical ganglion, from where the postganglionic fiber, which are shown here in green, they will go along with the blood vessels. Okay, they will go along with the blood vessels, and ultimately with the branching of the external carotid artery, it will come to that of the facial artery. Okay, and this plexus around the facial artery then will supply, while it will lie close to that of the submandibular gland. Okay, then the fibers will jump on to this submandibular ganglion. But you can see here this green color postganglionic fiber, which are vasomotor in nature, they will go without any relay from submandibular ganglion and will supply to the submandibular gland. One of its few of the fibers will also cross to the submandibular ganglion, passes through the without relay, and will supply to the sublingual gland. So both the glands or fibers, they come from thoracic one spinal segment through superior cervical ganglion, through the blood vessels, and without passing the sympathetic fibers are supplied by supplied to these two glands, submandibular and sublingual. So these are the fibers which are coming to that of the, and this is represented here in the green color. So I have shown you here that sympathetic fibers, they will be represented by the green color. So this is one of the root of this ganglion, okay, sympathetic, which has nothing to do with the ganglion because it is the collection of parasympathetic neurons. So just they take the root through which they pass only, and then they supply the blood vessels of these two glands, and they have the control over their constriction, vasoconstrictor fibers. When the secretion, is to be synthesized, they dilate, and then otherwise when it gland is resting, the vasoconstriction will take place, right? Okay, so you have understood this. Let us go now to the roots. Okay, one of the root, though I have just tell you about the sympathetic. Okay, you can see that there are three roots in this submandibular ganglion. Okay, let us come to the parasympathetic root first. Okay, and here this parasympathetic root is shown in the red color, this red line. Now here the parasympathetic preganglionic neurons are located on superior salivatory nucleus in pons, and their axons, thousands of axons will run in first in the 7th cervical nerve, and then they will run in its branch of the facial nerve. Then the branch is cauda tympani, and from the facial the branch it will come into the cauda tympani, and this cauda tympani branch of the facial nerve, which is containing the preganglionic motor fiber, parasympathetic motor fibers, here they will be joining to the lingual nerve. So the cauda tympani is now joining to the lingual nerve. So this red color preganglionic fibers, then they will start running in the lingual nerve. It will lie on the hyoglossus muscle in submandibular region, and then this through the twigs on which it is hanging submandibular ganglion, they will come to the submandibular ganglion here, and then this neuron it will relay on this neuron, which are postganglionic parasympathetic neuron. There are thousands of neurons are present in this. I have just drawn only two, and then its axon from the postganglionic neuron will send it axon, which will supply to the gland, that is secretomotor fibers, to the acini of the gland and also to the duct of the gland. This fibers, postganglionic fibers, will also start from this ganglion, submandibular ganglion as it is, and then through the other twig they will ascend up, again come into the lingual nerve, and then they will go to the sublingual gland, where they will also be fibers which will lead ultimately to the secretion from the sublingual gland. That's why these preganglionic fibers, and after the ganglion they are called as the postganglionic fibers. So that means there are two neurons are involved in the pathway, preganglionic and postganglionic, and this parasympathetic pathway is ultimately secretomotor pathway for the gland, for the gland and for the initial part of the duct also, where the smooth muscle may be present, which will lead to the contraction and stimulation, secretion from this. So this was the first root of this ganglion, that is the parasympathetic, and that's why this ganglion itself is parasympathetic. About the second root is sympathetic, and I have already told you with this green color fibers in the green color, and they are reaching to the ganglion, but without relay they will reach ultimately to the submandibular and to the sublingual gland, and they will act as the vasoconstrictor. It has nothing to do with the secretion. They are not secretomotor. They are supplying to the smooth muscle tunica media of the blood vessels. So they control the vasomotor control. That means regulation of the blood flow through the blood vessel, which is supplying to these two glands, indirectly, in this help in synthesis of the secretion, secretion. So in the green color it is the sympathetic root. Without relay it will pass, Then why it has come directly? Why it has come through this gland? Ganglion. It could have gone directly also, But then this is the economy, The parasympathetic fibers also, though they belong to the seventh cranial nerve, facial nerve, but then they have jumped from facial to the cauda tympani to lingual, and lingual to that they have come a long way to the ganglion, and then ultimately postganglion to the two different glands, two different glands. And that's why this is the economy for the passage of the fibers, both sympathetic and that of the parasympathetic. Since the facial artery is close to this gland and this ganglion, so it can easily send its fibers to the gland, through the this submandibular ganglion. That's why they just pass through the through the ganglion without relay. Let us come to the third root of this. The green color you have seen, the red color you have seen, that is sympathetic, and parasympathetic root you have seen. This was sympathetic root in green, and in this red, this is the parasympathetic. Let us come to the third root. And third root is the sensory root of this ganglion. That means they supply the sensory fibers to the submandibular and sublingual gland, and this come through the lingual nerve itself. The proper lingual nerve is mainly it is sensory in nature, branch from the mandibular nerve. So these fibers here, which is coming here, just remember this color, I have just drawn this color here. this through the lingual nerve, which is coming from mandibular nerve, this fiber will come here, and will come here. See, this fiber is coming here, and without relaying, it is going into the submandibular ganglion. So this is the sensory root and sympathetic. They don't relay in the ganglion. It is only parasympathetic which relay. So sensory is coming through the lingual nerve, but taking the root of the parasympathetic. And then this nerve is going further forward into the lingual nerve, and then this is also supplying to the sublingual gland without passing through the ganglion. Why it is so? Here, because it was to come to the submandibular, and this was the easiest and shortest routes. So the fibers from lingual nerve, they have taken this pathway and are supplying to this. But here there was no need, just like that of the parasympathetic and sympathetic, which have gone back to the lingual nerve and then gone to the sublingual. Here it is directly then from the lingual nerve, it is supplying the fibers to the sublingual salivary gland here. Okay. But further, this lingual nerve is going further, and it is sending the branches to the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, sensory fibers to the anterior two-thirds. Which type of sensation from the anterior two-thirds of the tongue it is carrying? It is carrying the extroceptive sensation, that is the pain, touch and temperature. You can feel the pain, you can feel the touch, you can feel the temperature from the anterior two-thirds of your tongue because of these fibers of the lingual nerve. Okay, because of the fibers of the lingual nerve. Right. But at the same time, I will tell you something more. Okay, so this will complete your innervation of the submandibular region. This lingual nerve, along with that means the facial nerve, is giving some extra fiber here. Extra, I mean to say, and another set of the fiber, which is sensory fiber, and which is concerned with the relay of the fibers of taste. So spatial sense fibers from anterior two-thirds of the taste. In this bluish color, you can see this blue color. This blue color is supplying to the mucous membrane and the taste bud, taste bud in the mucous membrane of the tongue, and they carry the taste sensation from the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, and this blue color is going through the lingual nerve backward, because sensation are going towards the brain. So these sensation are going first through the lingual nerve, then they jump into the chorda tympani nerve, and since chorda tympani is a branch from facial, they will go to the main trunk of facial, and from the main trunk of facial they will end into the nucleus, what is called as the nucleus of the tractus solitarius, or a nucleus for the taste. This has nothing to do with the submandibular. Just I have told you because the diagram was there and I could not resist giving this information that the lingual nerve carries so many sensations. If you will see here the lingual nerve, it is carrying three different types of the color. Fibers. One is common, general sensory, extroceptive, pain, touch and temperature. And then another is the preganglionic, the secretomotor, parasympathetic fiber, and third is this blue, which is carrying the taste sensation, which is a spatial sense, and this also goes through the facial nerve. So the two important fibers, the secretomotor fibers, a parasympathetic and this spatial sense of taste, they go through this chorda tympani, then the facial nerve. It is nothing to do with the lingual nerve, or the fifth cranial nerve, the trigeminal. So this is the submandibular region, So this completes the short note on the submandibular ganglion, where I have shown you the three different roots: the parasympathetic root, the sympathetic root in green, and the sensory root coming through the lingual nerve here. Thank you very much for watching this video.